Welcome, everyone, to Western Mass News 11 at 11 on this Tuesday. I'm Chris Pisano, and we begin tonight with a follow-up out of Westfield. Last month, an investigation took place at Westfield Middle School after a student found a swastika drawn inside their notebook. Now the school's principal is being honored for taking action against this type of behavior. Western Mass News reporter Addie Patterson joining us live in studio with more. Addie.
That's right, Chris. The Focus Project, a joint initiative of U.S. Jewish organizations working to combat things like anti-Semitism, has honored Westfield Middle School principal Jesse McMillan as Person of the Week for his quick response to anti-Semitic incidents that occurred inside his school.
He is a model for what should be done across the country.
Westfield Middle School principal Jesse McMillan being honored for his efforts working to end anti-Semitism in his school and opening the door to conversations about prejudice. Back in January, McMillan sent a letter out to the school community notifying everyone that an investigation was underway after a swastika was found drawn inside a student's notebook. In addition, school officials say swastikas were found after that incident on a student's Chromebook and on an eraser found on the gymnasium floor.
We were able to identify students in our building, so that allowed us to have a conversation about what occurred, hold them accountable, and also turn it into a teachable moment.
Western Mass News caught up with Principal McMillan following the investigation. He tells us that after these anti-Semitic incidents, the school has partnered closely with Jewish organizations to help bring lessons about prejudice and Jewish history to students.
We talked about the history of the swastika, the impact that it has today in our community. We talked about anti-Semitism and what that means. We talked a lot about the Holocaust, because some students have heard about it, but they don't entirely know what it means.
McMillan's quick action and dedication catching the attention of the Focus Project, a Jewish organization that works to combat and respond to incidents of anti-Semitism.
He told us all the background, how it happened, and what he did, and how strongly he felt about how there's no room for this, anti-Semitism in his school.
We spoke with Rabbi Eric Greenberg, National Director of Partnerships and Multi-Faith Engagement for the Focus Project. He explains why they decided to honor Principal McMillan as the organization's Person of the Week.
He saw the problem and he did something about it. This is the kind of person we want to lift up to people, to show one person does make a difference. One person standing up does make a difference.
Principal McMillan tells us the students who were found responsible for the swastikas were disciplined. However, he was unable to specify what consequences exactly took place. McMillan also says these conversations about prejudice are only the beginning for Westfield Middle School and that more dialogue will continue to take place inside the classroom. Reporting live in studio, Addie Patterson, Western Mass News.